Hello everyone, welcome to Data Nutshell. Today we will look into RAID. RAID stands for Redundant Array of Independent or Inexpensive Disks. It sounds fancy, but the idea is very simple. It's a way of combining multiple physical hard drives into a single logical unit to get one or more of these benefits. That is, better performance, which makes reads and writes faster, redundancy that protects data in case of disk failures, or both together depending on what RAID level we are using. So why we need RAID? Because think about a single hard disk drive. It's just one piece of hardware. If that disk fails, all the data is gone. Not only that, hard disks have speed limit. You can't suddenly make them read or write faster than their physical capacity. But what if instead of relying on just one disk, we used many disks together like a team? One disk standalone has limited performance and is a single point of failure, but multiple disks working together can share the workload so that things go faster and they can back each other up so that the data is safer. That is where RAID comes in. It defines different ways of arranging these disks called RAID levels to balance speed and safety. So let's think of an analogy. Think of it like cooking a big meal. If only one person is cooking, it takes forever. And if that one person falls sick, the meal is ruined. But if you have a whole team of cooks, some can work in parallel. It increases the speed, and some can prepare backups in case someone messes up. So it acts as a safety net. That's exactly what RAID does with disks. Now that we know why we need RAID, let's dive into the first two levels, RAID 0 and RAID 1. These two are the simplest, and understanding them will make the higher levels much easier to understand. So RAID 0 is nothing but stripping. It is called disk stripping. Imagine you have two or more hard drives. Instead of storing your file on just one drive, RAID 0 splits the file into chunks and spreads them evenly across all those drives. Let's take an example. Say you have two disks. You want to store a file on the disk. Say your file is divided into four chunks A, B, C, D. What happens in RAID 0 is your first chunk A will go to disk 1, your second chunk B will go to disk 2. Then your third chunk C will again go to disk 1 and your fourth chunk D will go to disk 2. This way your file is stripped across both those disks. What's the benefit of this? The benefit is performance because now reads and writes will happen in parallel. The speed is almost doubled if you split your data across two disks and tripled if you split your data across three disks and so on. But there is a limitation, that is no safety, because RAID 0 is giving you zero redundancy. If one disk fails, you lose everything because there was no backup of those chunks that you had put on that failed disk. So RAID 0 is good only when speed is more important than safety. Say for gaming or high level throughput tasks, it is very beneficial because the speed is increased. So RAID 0 was disk splitting. RAID 1 is disk mirroring. Why? Because here instead of splitting the data, you duplicate it. Every file you save is written to all the disks simultaneously. For example, say you have two disks, 1 and 2, and your file has four chunks A, B, C, D. What happens in RAID 1 is all of those four chunks will be written to both of the disks you have. So disk 1 will have chunks A, B, C, D, and disk 2 will also have chunks A, B, C, D. This way, both your drives are the exact mirrors of each other. If one disk fails, the other has a complete copy. That's the benefit of RAID 1, that is safety. RAID 1 provides high reliability. Reading becomes faster because the system can read from whichever disk which is responding first. But writing is slower because you have to write to two disks the same data. The drawback is storage is not as efficient because everything is duplicated, so you are losing half your storage space. So two 1 TB disks in RAID actually give you effectively 1 TB of usable space. So RAID 1 is safer but slower than RAID 0. So RAID 0 gives you speed but no safety. RAID 1 gives you safety but no extra speed. So, but it is very reliable. So together, RAID 1 and RAID 0 are the foundations of all the higher RAID levels that we will look into in coming videos. So don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, please press like button. Thank you.